Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. This is the card that I'll be making today. If I slide off the belly band, you can see that it is a gatefold card, and when we open it up we have a lovely happy birthday message inside. Very easy to do, and if you stay with me I'll show you how I did it. These are the supplies that I'm using to make the card today. Card base is a piece of dapper denim which is 11 inches by 5.5, and I've got two pieces of cherry cobbler which are 5.5 inches by about 4 3/4. A piece of whisper white, and that is a 5-inch square. I've cut two pieces of dapper denim DSP from the DSP stack, the in colour stack, and that's going to be retiring at the end of the month, so I don't even know whether it's in stock or not at the moment. If it is and you want it, grab it quickly. These are 2.5 inches by 5 1/4. I have a strip of cherry cobbler, and I've just cut the entire length of the piece of A4, and I've cut it to 2 inches wide. This is a bit of leftover dapper denim, and I'm going to be using that for die cutting. I'm going to stamp using the Birthday Blast stamps, and again these are retiring, and I'm going to use cherry cobbler ink, and those stamps are in the spring summer catalogue, as are the Star Blast thinlets, and I'm going to be using these as well. As well as all of those supplies, there are a couple of things that I nearly forgot to tell you about, and that is a little piece of whisper white for stamping and punching, and I have two punches. I have the 2-inch circle punch and the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. Now you could also use the layering circles, framelets, they would work fine as well. I'm just using the punches today. I have my piece of dapper denim card, and I'm going to score it at 2 3/4, and I'm going to turn that round and I'm going to score it at 2 3/4 again. Now I don't know whether you can see, because I have tried to rub these out, but I've actually already scored this one at 2.5. I made a mistake, but all of this is going to be covered up, so I'm not going to cut another piece of card. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just going to run with it. I'm just going to leave it as it is, because once we put the cherry cobbler on top, nobody is going to be able to see that, so I'm not going to worry about that. And when I've folded this, that is going to be the basis of my gatefold card. Okay. Now all of this is going to be covered up, so don't worry about it. I've got a couple of little spots on it as well. Not going to be a problem. Alright, now I've got my cherry cobbler card, and I'm going to make sure that I've got it oriented the right way, which is with the shorter edge at the top, and I'm also going to score this one at 2 3/4 inch. Is that right? Yes, 2 3/4 inch. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to find again 2 3/4 inch, and I'm just going to make a mark on that edge. Alright, because that is going to help me in a minute when I come to orient my my Star Blast framelit. Got my piece of cherry cobbler card ready, and here is the Star Blast thinlet. Now this is an edgelet, I think they call them, in that this piece here, okay, on that very edge, it doesn't cut out from the card, it just scores. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to line up the point of the biggest star there with that score line that I made when I was doing my scoring, and I'm going to line that up so that it's nicely centered, and I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to make sure the edges are straight as well, so I'm going to hold this down with a bit of low tack tape, and can tell it's the low tack because the inside bit there is blue. If it was green, it would just be the invisible tape. Okay, so I've got that well down, well secured. I don't want that to move around at all, and I'm going to hop on over to the Big Shot and I'm going to cut that out. And there is my die cut piece, and while I was at it I did the other piece exactly the same. So now I want to do one more thing to these before I start putting the card together. Let me get this the right way around. I'm just going to bring in my Stampin' trimmer, and I'm just going to take just a tiny little bit off the edge of this card here, and I'm just going to line it up. I don't know whether you can see, I'll zoom in for you, but there is your cutting channel here, and this is the edge of the mat piece that holds the channel. I'm not explaining myself very well, but you just need the tiniest sliver being cut off. That's about 1/8 of an inch actually. And the reason why you're doing that is so that when you close up your card, you will have room for these extra pieces. Alright, because otherwise you're going to have two things trying to occupy the same space, and that is physically impossible, and your card will gape. Alright, so let's bring back my card base, and I want this so that that flaps over the top just like that, and I'm going to use liquid adhesive, where I am when I can find where I've put it. It's here. So, and again I'm using liquid adhesive because I want this to be fitting quite exactly to the inside of my interior of my card. Now I'm lining up the outer edges of the die cut, so I've got a space on the inside. Oops, I think Misty's going to come and join me in a minute. No, that's mine. That's mine. You can have your own afterwards. Do you know what? I think I should have a channel called Crafting for Cats. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Because I know there are lots of cats out there, and dogs too, and you know, other fur babies that like to craft with their people. So where was I before I was distracted? Right, same thing on this side, lining that up so that those edges are all level, not stressing out about this bit on the inside here. Alright, not stressing about that at all. I want the outer bit to look right, and that's one of the reasons why I've used a liquid adhesive, because it does give you that little bit of extra time to wiggle around and get things how you want them. Okay, and there you go. Just going to finish off the front panels now, and I'm going to use Snail on the back of the DSP. Now again, I could use the liquid adhesive since I have it here, but Snail works perfectly well for this, so why not use it? Now, and again, I'm trying to line this up so that I have a nice even edge all around the panel. You can see it better if I do it like that, can't you? And then that helps that to just pop out a little bit. And same thing again, really use the liquid adhesive then, after saying I'm going to use Snail. And I'm going to bring in the other panel because I want the Snail I want the DSP to align with what's going on there. Okay, and now that is the front of my Gatefold card, looking pretty swish, I think. Because I'm going to be stamping directly onto my card insert, and I'm not that confident of a stamper, I'm going to use my stamp press today. It's not a Stampin' Up product. There are a number of different versions of this kind of thing on the market, and I've even seen people make them themselves using a particular kind of frame from IKEA. You pay your money and you take your choice, or if you're a really super duper good stamper, then you know, just adhere it to an ink block and go for it. But what I wanted to show you today, now this particular version comes apart, they don't all, but this one does, is I have inked up one of our little blank stamping spots with cherry cobbler ink, and I am using that instead of my big stamp pad, because that way I keep this bit clearer, because everything kind of smudges around the edge, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt your stamping, but what it does do is annoy me because I've got to clean it off afterwards. Okay, so now that slips back into there, and I'm just checking that you can see what I'm doing. Picking your noises off, that's my neighbours. I've got some visitors. So I'm just going to press that down and press firmly. I stopped the film there for a little bit because my upstairs neighbour was greeting her guests. But as you can see, that's stamped very, very nicely onto my piece of Whisper White. So now I'm going to apply that to the inside of my card with a little bit of jolly old snail. And snail will be fine for this because this isn't having to bear any sort of load at all, and I'm just centering that in my card, and there we go. There is my nice happy birthday message for the recipient of my card. Alright, now, so the card itself is finished, but I want to do one more thing to it. I'm not a fan of gatefold cards that gape open, and this one isn't too bad because I have actually burnished those score lines and folds to within an inch of their lives. But I want to put a belly band on the front of it. So for that, this is my 2-inch wide strip of cherry cobbler, which has got some bits hanging off it, which I don't want to see. So I'm just going to wrap this around. I'm going to start off by lining up one edge with the edge of the fold here. Okay, so that's going to be what goes on top, and I'm just doing it quite softly at the moment. I'm not really pressing anything down, just so that I can see where I want it to be. Okay. Now I could go back with my scoring tool and I could score along those marks that I've made, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like that. I want a certain amount of softness to it. And I'm going to stick it down with a little piece of tear and tape, because I want this to be quite strong. And tear and tape, it does what it says on the tin. Well, there's a bit there that I'd torn before, that's a bit uneven. I can just tear it, don't need to get my scissors or anything like that, and just line those up so that those edges are straight. And that is my belly band. I'm just going to check I haven't done anything silly to it and it doesn't fit. And there we are. Now I did put a little bit of glue under these pieces here, so these edges are still free, but I put a little bit of a glue along that piece there, because they were catching when I tried my prototype belly band. They were catching on it, so I just glued them down a bit, slowed them down a bit. All right. The belly band as it is a little bit plain, so I want to decorate it up a bit. So I've got the word Wahoo from that same stamp set mounted on my clear block, and I'm just going to ink it up. I'm going to use my my Stampin' spot there, because I have it handy. But I could have used the big ink pad, you know. There we go. And there is my word wahoo. And I'm going to take the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. Now I've gone in with a narrow pointed Sharpie, fine point Sharpie. That's the word I'm looking for. And I've just marked the center points, which will help me to line this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, and I have a scrap of the Dapper Denim here and the 2-inch circle punch, and I'm just going to punch out a piece of that. Okay, and that is going to line up like that. And I'm thinking that that is just a little bit too plain, so what have we here in the same stamp set? We have some little stars. So use that one in a minute. That way. You see, this is me. I'm designing on the fly now. Let's just have a couple of little stars. One teeny tiny one, just for luck. Go. I think that looks good, don't you? I'm happy with that. Okay. And let's mount this up on a couple of dimensionals. Wouldn't be a proper Stampin' Up tutorial if we didn't use dimensionals, would it? Love them for everything. Okay. There we go. I'll bring back my belly band. And I think dimensionals again. I do. Loving the dimensionals, ladies and gentlemen. Stay by. Let's just centre that on the belly band. And there you go. There's my finished card, which I think is a very nice gender neutral kind of design. Now the colours that I've chosen, they're nice strong colours, so I think they would be very good for a boy or for a gentleman. But if you did this in pastels and softer colours, then it would be equally good for a girl or for a lady. So what do you think? Leave me a comment, I would love to know. But that is it for now, and thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that I will see you again soon. Bye bye.